As Utah's first and most visited national park, Zion offers legendary hikes, spectacular views, and a picturesque scenic drive that cannot be matched. If you're planning to visit Zion National Park for the first time, this video can help you plan the perfect trip. From the best time of year to visit the park to the best hiking routes, restaurants, places to stay, and so much more, this guide has it all covered. With these 10 helpful recommendations, you'll be able to explore Zion National Park like a pro. These are our 10 best tips for exploring Zion National Park. And be sure to subscribe to our channel for more travel videos like this. At the end of this video, I'll give you a detailed cost breakdown of my recent trip to Zion National Park. We were 3 friends traveling on a budget, and we split all of our costs to keep them as low as possible. If you're planning your own trip to Zion National Park, GAFFL can help you find travel companions of your own to share costs and experiences with. Just click the link in the description of the video and start connecting with travelers and locals from over 190 countries worldwide. So what's the best starting off point for your Zion National Park trip? Las Vegas is the best place to begin your trip to Zion National Park. And it's also an excellent starting off point for visiting several other national and state parks in a single trip. We planned an epic road trip that began in Vegas, and in total we were able to explore Zion National Park, Valley of Fire, Capitol Reef, Arches National Park, Canyonlands, and the Grand Canyon on this one road trip alone. Not to mention Death Valley and Red Rock Canyon when we got back to Vegas. We rented a car in Vegas and started the almost 2-hour and 40-minute trip to Springdale, the gateway town just outside of Zion National Park. But we didn't just go straight to Zion. After all, what's a great road trip without some amazing stops along the way? On our route to Zion, we made a quick stop to the Valley of Fire for a fun day hike. Anyway, we're on our way to Zion. We're stopping at Valley of Fire first. We're just gonna check this place out for how long are we staying there? Like an hour maybe. And it's on the way to Zion, so it's a cool place to stop. We made a quick stop to the visitor center before hiking the Fire Wave Trail, and it was well worth the stop. The trail is spectacular, and it's easy to see why it's known as the Fire Wave, with its wave-like patterns and brilliant orange and red rocks all around. The sun was beaming down, and there were really no opportunities for shade, so make sure you wear a hat. This place is so breathtaking, and you'll be able to snap some fantastic scenic shots while you're here. We were back on the road after our quick stop in Valley of Fire, but all the hiking had made us hungry, so we wanted to stop for food before getting to Zion. We opted to make our way to St. George, which was about a 90-minute drive from Valley of Fire along the way to Springdale. We had delicious Indian food at a restaurant called Red Fort, and for anyone doing a similar trip to ours, St. George is a fantastic place to stop for food with so many different options for people who love all types of cuisine. After our meal, we were finally off to Springdale. We arrived at our hotel after dark and decided to spend the night there. We got some work done and hung out by the fire afterwards. This hotel was really great, and everyone who worked there was super nice. I'll talk more about the hotel later on in this video. So when's the best time to visit Zion National Park? Well, that really depends on you and how well you can brave the cold. If a little winter chill doesn't bother you, I recommend visiting Zion National Park between December and end of February. If you don't mind crowds and are willing to spend a little bit more money, then spring and autumn are also great times to visit Zion National Park. But honestly, in the winter, it gets cold in the morning and at night, but during the day, it warms up quite a bit. There are also several advantages to visiting Zion National Park in the winter. Our flights to Vegas, car rental, and our hotel rooms were less expensive than they would have been during peak season. We'll talk more about this in our cost breakdown. There was also far fewer people when we visited in the winter. My 2 friends had previously done Zion National Park during the summer and autumn, and they were both blown away by the winter experience. Because the trails weren't overcrowded, we were able to see everything we wanted to see without having to wait at all. Also, we were able to drive into the park, complete the scenic drive in our own car, and park at all the trailheads, which is not permitted during most of the year while the shuttles are running. With all that being said, what are the best ways to get around Zion National Park? The best way to get around Zion is to do the Zion Canyon Scenic Drive, which connects to the park's top trailheads as well as Zion Lodge. During shuttle season, the scenic drive is closed to private vehicles. The park is vast and you can drive on the rest of the park roads except Zion Canyon Scenic Drive during shuttle season. Springdale offers a number of paid parking lots where you can leave your car before boarding the shuttle. Alternatively, if you're staying at a Springdale hotel, you'll be allowed to park your car overnight and board the shuttle in the morning. Shuttle season lasts virtually the entire year. Shuttles often run between March and November, on weekends in February and March, and during the last week of December. During peak season, there are 2 free shuttles available. The first one is in Springdale. It picks you up and drops you off around town in 9 different spots and takes you straight to the entrance of Zion National Park. The second shuttle route is in Zion National Park. This shuttle takes you on the scenic drive from the visitor center to places like Zion Lodge and popular trailheads like Emerald Pools, Angel's Landing, and the Temple of Sinawava. The shuttles can be reserved online at the National Park Service website. We were lucky enough to visit during a time when the shuttle wasn't running, and we were able to do the entire scenic drive on our own. And if you get the opportunity to visit Zion National Park during a time when the shuttle isn't running, I couldn't recommend it enough. It's one of the best scenic drives I've ever done. There are tons of great hikes to do in Zion National Park. Trails like the Watchman Overlook, which was closed when we went and is moderately challenging, but most people will be able to do it. And the trailhead is really close to the visitor center. There's also Emerald Pools Trail, which provides hikers with some variety. We planned on doing this but couldn't actually get around to it, but I would definitely recommend it for hikers of all abilities. The 3 hikes that we did were the Riverside Walk, Angel's Landing, and Canyon Overlook. The Riverside Walk is the most straightforward walk in Zion. It's a 2-mile hike that starts at the Temple of Sinawava and takes you along a riverbank trail with stunning views. The Riverside Walk takes you right to the start of the iconic Narrows hike. The Narrows is 16 miles in its entirety and can get very strenuous at times. The water you're walking on can get waist high, and depending on how tall you are, it can get even higher. Most people who do the Narrows do a short out and back route just to get a feel for the hike. While it's certainly possible to hike the Narrows in the winter, and people were doing it right in front of us, we opted not to do it this time because we didn't want to get cold or wet. Everyone we encountered on the hike that was doing the Narrows rented proper equipment like a wetsuit and boots, which is essential to keep warm in the Narrows during the winter months. If you really wanted to do the Narrows hike, I guess this could be considered a downside of coming in the winter. During a hot summer day, I imagine this would probably be one of the best hikes in Zion National Park. Angel's Landing is undoubtedly Zion's most iconic hike, but it's also the most challenging and dangerous. This 4.5-mile hike is no joke, and you should only attempt it if you're confident in your fitness and hiking abilities. Several people have died on this trail over the years. It's incredibly steep with over 1,600 feet of elevation gain, and there isn't an easy paved trail at the end of the climb, so you're only able to get up and down with the help of a metal chain. So we're doing Angel's Landing right now. It's one of the most iconic trails in Zion National Park. It's also one of the most difficult and strenuous. Yeah, we're probably not going to do the whole hike because honestly, I'm not brave enough. But if you are and you're an experienced hiker, which I also am not, make sure you do this hike because it is a great feeling. These two have both done it, and they loved it. As you can see by my scared look and my scared words, that I really wasn't planning on doing the entirety of the hike. But my friends assured me that we'd only be doing a little portion of it just to get a feel for it. But as we were ascending up, I could tell that my 2 friends were becoming more determined to finish it, especially Akib. Mitu, on the other hand, was nursing a knee injury. And how did he get this knee injury? Well, it's a knee injury. Yeah. Well, why did you get your knee injury? From what?
Doing hikes.
Stretch. Halfway through the hike, Mitu made a decision to turn back to protect his knee from getting more injured. This was great news for me because it gave me an out to turn back. I was really proud of the distance I hiked. The views from where we ended up were already breathtaking, and I felt accomplished. While I was definitely nervous about the chain portion, I was even more concerned about my fitness level and lack of hydration. So I carelessly only packed one 500 milliliter water bottle with me, and it was done pretty much halfway through the hike. I felt very tired and thirsty, and I didn't feel comfortable enough with my conditioning to complete the hike. My other friend Akib, on the other hand, was determined to complete the entire thing, as he had done just a few years back. And when Mitu and I headed back down, he continued and finished on. All in all, it took him about 4 hours to do the whole thing, which is the average amount of time it takes for most people to do the entirety of Angel's Landing. Our friend is doing the rest of Angel's Landing because he's a beast and he's super brave and he's very strong. And we're hungry, so we're gonna go eat.
Hey guys, I don't know how I'm doing it. I guess I'm doing it. This is the part I hate a lot because this is a big fall. This is a big fall. So this is basically the last rock that you have to climb to go to the top of Angel's Landing. Like if I zoom in, you can see some people there at the top. But yeah, it's pretty amazing view from here. And then a little ahead, you can actually have the whole canyon. Partially, you can see the canyon as well. Alright, it's kind of done. The top.
So as Akib got to the top of Angel's Landing and eventually made his way back down, Mitu and I had finished our lunch for the day and we were headed back to the park to meet up with Akib. So we stop right there and Akib is going all the way to the top. So we're all back together now. Akib just did Angel's Landing, completed the whole thing. And now he just grabbed a bite to eat. Now we're going to Canyon Overlook to catch the sunset. Canyon Overlook was our final hike of the day. This 1 mile trip has relatively little elevation gain and is straightforward from start to finish. Some describe it as an intermediate hike, but if I can do it, chances are most of you watching this can do it as well. In fact, when we walked up to see the sunset on this particular day, there was a couple taking wedding photos on the top. Canyon Overlook isn't as bad as Angel's Landing. There isn't as much elevation. It's pretty nice so far. Hopefully we get to see a good sunset. We missed the sunset, but that shouldn't deter you because Canyon Overlook is one of the best vantage points in all of Zion to catch the sunset, if you're on time. And while we were just a few minutes late and didn't see the sun fall behind the rocks, we did get some amazing views and snap some very scenic photos. So we didn't make it exactly for sun. I guess we made it for sunset, but the sun is like past the rocks, so you can kind of see like colors changing and stuff. It's still pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. Are you guys enjoying it? Mitu's hard to please. Don't listen to Mitu. The hike and the views were great. While you're exploring Zion National Park, there are usually two main places you can dine. The closest choice for anyone within the park scenic route would be Zion Lodge. The lodge serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you won't have to leave the park to get a meal. If you want more variety than what the lodge has to offer, Springdale is the better choice. Because the shuttles weren't running while we were there, the decision was super easy to make. We just hopped in our car and drove back to Springdale. Springdale has a diverse choice of restaurants, ranging from fast food to sports bars to some great hidden gems. While Mitu and I were waiting for Akib to finish Angel's Landing, we went to Jack's Sports Bar. The staff here was super friendly and the portions were enormous, which was perfect for us after a long morning of hiking. After we caught up with Akib, he ate at a restaurant in Springdale called Pizza and Noodle Co. He had Alfredo pasta and he said it was light and delicious. In fact, we love the overall vibe of this restaurant so much we came back after our canyon overlook hike. The staff were very friendly and accommodating. Even though we arrived close to 9 p.m., which is when the restaurant closes, they still let us dine in. We ordered a barbecue chicken pizza, and like the pasta before it, it was delicious. If you're ever in Springdale, Pizza and Noodle Co. is definitely a place I'd recommend. So where should you stay in Zion National Park? Similarly to your dining options, your primary lodging choices will be twofold, within the park's scenic route or Springdale. If you choose to remain inside the park, you have two options, the Zion Lodge or the campground. The campgrounds were closed when we were there, and the Zion Lodge was too expensive for our budget, so we opted for the Holiday Inn Express in Springdale, and it did not disappoint. So I should also probably mention that we got some additional hotel discounts because of our GAFFL Unlimited membership. As a GAFFL Unlimited member, you can get up to 60% off select hotels all around the world. These rates aren't available to the general public, and you can only get them as a GAFFL Unlimited member. So if you want to learn more about a GAFFL Unlimited membership, simply click the link below in the description. The Holiday Inn Express was a fantastic hotel that I would strongly recommend to anyone visiting Springdale. The accommodations were spotless, the staff were polite and helpful, and the extra amenities were wonderful. On our first night there, we took advantage of the hotel's outdoor fire pits. And after a long day of hiking, we spent our second night in the jacuzzi with some other hikers who had just returned from Zion as well. We were provided with a hot breakfast each morning, and both mornings they were delicious. Overall, I had a great time staying at the Holiday Inn Express in Springdale, and I couldn't recommend it enough. Here's some general tips for safety and what to wear. Wear proper hiking shoes. I thought I could get away with doing hikes on this trip with my worn out running shoes. Thankfully, my friends advised me against that, so I bought new hiking shoes, and it was the best decision I made. I can't imagine doing some of the hikes we did without proper footwear. My skin is super sensitive to the sun, so sunscreen and my bucket hat were essential. I wore a heavy winter coat, but if I were to do this trip again, I would probably leave it at home. Instead, I would layer my clothing. As the day warmed up, I'd simply remove layers and stuff them into a backpack. If you're doing the Narrows, especially in the winter, make sure to rent equipment beforehand. Spikes for the last bit of Angel's Landing are recommended in the winter. Akib mentioned how the last bit of Angel's Landing was icy, and although he didn't have spikes of his own, he wished he had them. While you're hiking, bring lots of water. You don't want to be like me on Angel's Landing. Finally, it's important to know your fitness and your skill level. It's great to push yourself to reach new heights, but you should be very mindful of your limitations as well. Again, think of me on Angel's Landing. As promised, here's a full cost breakdown of my recent trip to Zion National Park. Our car rental was $42 per day, so it was $126 for the duration of our Zion trip. We spent $77 on gas and $184 for the 2 nights in Springdale. Akib and me too both had national park passes, so we didn't have to pay anything to get into Zion National Park. All in all, our total shareable costs were $387, and split by 3 people, it was only $129 each. If you count my flight to Vegas, which cost $180, my total cost to fly in from Toronto to Vegas, then rent a car, and then drive to Zion, and then spend 2 nights in Zion National Park was only $309. I was really only able to do this trip because I had 2 friends to split the cost with. Without them, I probably wouldn't be able to afford it. If you're someone like me who's dying to travel, but don't think you can afford it alone, you can use GAFFL to find like-minded travel companions to share costs and experiences with. Simply click the link in the description below and start connecting with travelers from over 190 countries. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, be sure to subscribe to catch our next one. I'll be showing you guys the next leg of our epic road trip, and I'll be sharing the best tips for exploring Arches National Park, Canyonlands, and Moab. Okay, bye. Bye, Matthew, and bye, Stafford. Bye.